be so dang busy. Thank you. Recording happened. Or we can be so dang busy, we show up a little bit hot, a little bit disorganized. Most of us are good enough to wing it and still get it. So listing prep's important, but it's not urgent. How about goal setting? Where do I want to be? What does that look like? I've got a board with all your information on it, but I've got my 3 simple goals on that board for the month. And I'll read them to you. They're not exciting. Number 1 is exercise 5 times a week. That's it. Exercise 5 times a week. Number 2 is hire and cut expenses in one of my companies. And number 3, have quality one-on-one time with each family member each week. Very simple goals. Important, yes, but something that we don't often take the time to make a priority. And relaxing, taking a breath, especially in a market economy like we're in right now. Important, not urgent. We go to the bottom right, we got the slacker. Too much TV, binge watching, Facebook, social media, non-urgent phone calls, texting when it's not necessary. That can keep us out of our strength zone. We go to the far left. These are like the nicest human beings on the planet, bottom left. We call this the not important, urgent, the yes man, working with unmotivated people. Isn't that the biggest beatdown in this business? Is we've got a client, we found a perfect home, and they're capable of offering where they should be, but they're not willing to. They're just not as motivated as the market is matching right now. They're great human beings. They're not willing to do what it takes in this market. And the reason I call that a beatdown, because it's exhausting. We go through all of that work. We know their offer is going to lose. It loses. Where could we have spent that time? Possibly in a different quadrant, looking for more motivated people. Interruptions, allowing other people's problems to be your small problems. And then, of course, we've got the top left, which is urgent and important. Well, I was late for an appointment. Maybe the car broke down. Maybe the car was having a buzzing noise 2 weeks ago and we didn't slow down to check out that buzzing noise. And today was the day it broke down because we had an important appointment. Inconsistent business. When I'm coaching an agent, Katie, and I see that their business is inconsistent, in other words, also 6 or 7 homes or 3 homes, whatever their business metrics look like in a certain month, and then the next month they're at 0, well, that tells me that they're living in that urgent box. Agents really fall into that urgent box, like everything's important, everything's reactive, and we trick ourselves to believing that's where we should live because so many of us are so good at fixing problems really rapidly. Where the reality is, if we just went back over to the far right at the top, we did our script practice, we did our lead generation, we worked on our goals, we spent time relaxing, we spent time on health, we'd probably have less time in the urgent important box. Health is one that shows up on the top left, right? If your health goes poorly, that is urgent and important. But if we spent time on the right side and we ate properly, we exercised, we stretched, well, odds are we wouldn't have as many health issues. So I know this isn't terribly exciting, but it's hopefully an aha for some of you. Like, where do you spend your time? What quadrant do you live in through most of the day? And where we really want to live in is the top right. But by default, because we don't live there frequently enough, we end up living in the top left. Katie, is there anything you want to add to that?
I think that when we have a big room like this full of mega agents, this is all top performing agents. We see ourselves, I see mostly the first quadrant and the third. Right? Like we're yes men because we're successful because we just say yes to everything we're running around, but it really does slow us down. I think taking a moment to look at your schedule. So a fun exercise, you guys, is look at last week, pull up your calendar, and I want you to just mark off every activity you did and just say what quadrant was I in? Right? Like we all can have Netflix time. That's great, right? We can be slackers sometime. That's fine too. That could be our recharge. But go back and be like, did I have to design that flyer? Did I have to go and say yes to that buyer's agent and help them with that consultation on my team, right? Did I have to do this? And what quadrant are you in? And really measure your activities. And I don't want to say future, like let's see what you did yesterday or the week before and really see where we're spending our time.
Well, Katie, I guess what to add to that as well, if we're going to do that exercise, let's go back and let's look at when we're urgent. Let's look at when the world was on fire, because that's when we're clearly living in that top left box. And then let's look at correctively, what could we have done a day before that, a week before that, or a month before that? That would have, if we'd really been intentional with our schedule and our activities, that fire would have never jumped up on us. Does that make sense?
Gold. I love that. I mean, it goes back to your car analogy, which is so relatable, right? The car didn't just break down on day one, right? Which is quadrant one. It didn't just explode. It didn't just run out of gas. It didn't just start smoking for no reason. There were signs before that. Right? There were things in prior and in box two that we could have done. We could have gotten the oil fix. We could have put gas in it. We could have just slowed down for 1 minute, and that would have saved us 3 hours of breaking down on the side of the road. Which
and
is
missing a really, or being late for a really critical appointment to get a listing, which in your price point can pay what, $25,000 to $150,000.
exactly.
Okay, a little more foundation, and we'll get into the actual meat of some content and some objectives to get more listings. This is an org chart we live by here at RCC. I believe that every real estate agent on the planet lives in these quadrants. Number one is the CEO. Right? Do I go to the Zoom today, or do I not? Do I buy Zillow leads, or do I not? Do I do open houses now that the world's opened up, or do I not? Do I work at ABC Realty? Do I open my own brokerage? Do I close with the greatest title company on the planet, Fidelity? Like, only a CEO can make those decisions. Is that fair? Every one of us has that job. On the next quadrant, we've got the listing agent. And right, if you don't have a listing agent team, you still have a listing agent. It's called you. It's me. Listing agent is what we call the surgeon of the business. It is the highest paid role in the business. It's the most educated person in the business. It gets the most leverage in the business. It's a challenging role to master, and it's a phenomenal role. So Katie, let's pretend that you live in Palo Alto and you've got a $3 million house.
Oh, I'm super excited.
Right on. So Katie, I'm going to head over to your house tonight because you and Derek want to sell. Typical listing appointment's probably going to take me, what, an hour and a half?
An hour, yep.
You got a big, well, actually 3 million in Palo Alto is probably not a big home. So I'd say an hour. So I'm going to go through your house, and an hour later, let's say you choose to hire me.
Okay.
Awesome. And just to make up a round number, let's say the listing side of that commission is $50,000.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thanks for hiring me. In my mind, Katie, I just made 25 of that $50,000 by you hiring me. How many agents can come over from Hillsborough, Burlingame, Los Altos, San Jose, and all the other surrounding cities? Like, there's tens of thousands of agents that you could have chosen, and you chose me. So the first thing in my mind is, if you hire me tonight, I probably just beat out 10,000 agents. Tell me that is not worth at least half my commission. Because let's call it like it is. If you hired the other 10,000 agents, I would have zero listing commission.
Yep, makes sense.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's not a tremendous amount of work to do to get your listing sold. I know there is. But again, none of that work happens or is relevant unless you hired me. So it doesn't matter. Like, your market's Eugene, Oregon, your average commission is what, like 12,000?
Mm-hmm.
So if I went to your house and you hired me there, I'd be at 12,000. I'd say, okay, I made 6,000. Now, if that listing appointment took me an hour, then I would argue I made $6,000 an hour. If I'm in San Jose and it's a $40,000 commission, I would argue that in 1 hour I made half that commission, $20,000 an hour.
Right.
That's the role of a listing agent. That's the role of a surgeon. And then you understand, I've got a lot of work to do. I've got disclosures. I've got to get a stager. I've got to get high-end photography. I've got so much work to do to get you on the market. And so then I drive back to my office and I start working on all of that. And now I'm in that middle quadrant called the admin. So Katie, what is an admin pay in your market?
Well, you just said I went from $25,000 an hour, and then I went back to do admin work, which typically, depending on the market, $15 to $30 an hour.
Sure. In Palo Alto and surrounding areas, I'd say probably a solid $25 to $35 an hour for a quality admin, somewhere in that range. But is that a vastly different number than $10 or $20 or $30,000 an hour?
I think that's pretty important to identify the differences. It's a big drop.
And that's not good or bad. That's just a reality of where are we spending our time. And for me, if I want to dominate listings, if I want to be the number one listing agent on my block or my zip code or my county, then I have to have a direct awareness of where do I spend my time and what's my dollar hour return in that time. And so this is something I really wish they would teach in real estate school, is that I can go from taking a listing in my market and making approximately $5,000 an hour, and then driving back and making a flyer, calling a stager, calling a window washer, which is all critical things to prep that listing. And I'm now making $20 an hour. Not good or bad, just a reality. And then of course we've got the buyer's agent. To me, being a buyer's agent is also being a surgeon. That's helping your client win in a competitive situation, which pretty much all buyers are in competitive situations right now. In a different market, that's helping my client get a lower price. That's helping my client overcome a nasty inspection. If you guys are even having inspections right now, I would assume many of them are being waived. That's helping solve a low appraisal. That's working with my incredible title partner, Fidelity, if there's a title issue. Like, that's the surgery side of the buyer agent job. And then of course there's the showing agent role, which is at a really high level, opening doors and answering questions. But let's be clear, opening doors and answering questions is a different role than helping your client win when there's 11 offers on the table. Would you agree with that? So I think the buyer's agent role in a market like yours, probably $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 an hour. The showing agent role, probably $100, $200 an hour. So it's just an awareness. Where do you spend your time? Where do you want to spend the time? Because you're the CEO of your company. And where do you get the highest return? And then of course, we go the grid on the right side. And in no way are Katie, Matt, and I advocating that you start a team. But let's call it like it is. If we're on the right side and I hire somebody else to do my staging or do my paperwork or prep my listings or input my listings, I now get that off of my plate for $20, $30 an hour, which either gives me more free time to go on a walk with my wife, or it gives me more free time to go and get those listings I so desperately want in my business. Katie, Matt, anything I didn't share you want to share?
Seeing these back to back, it makes me like the 4 quadrants, and then seeing that org chart. This is the first time I've kind of put this together. Is, you know, that again, that quadrant 2 of prioritizing makes me think that's where CEOs live. Right. The more I leverage out and plan out and hire for people to do these things for me, the more time back I get to exercise and prepare for my own personal mental health and spirituality and just balance, right, which is quadrant 2. And so it's interesting to put those 2 back to back and almost like to see them side by side, where it's where, you know, CEOs live in that prioritizing moment of constantly making sure to plan ahead and to take time to, you know, to categorize what's important and urgent.
Fantastic.
I totally agree with you. I've not really looked at them side by side, back to back like that before. And all I keep thinking is clarity is power. Like, there's so much clarity now looking at the org chart and the quadrants and creating a very different, clear picture for sure.
I love that. Well, why don't we switch gears and start talking about database? Malika's sweet spot, being somebody that really helps us out with something we use consistently in our company, CoreLogic. But let's talk a little bit about database, client management, and staying in relationship with our past clients. So Maddie, you probably know the answer to this. What percentage of consumers interviewed by National Association of Realtors said I had a great experience, I would use my agent again?
90%.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. Selling a house is a stressful experience. Buying a home, no matter how incredible our service is stressful. Moving into that home after we hand them keys, stressful. Seriously, it's a stressful experience no matter how great we are. So for 9 out of 10 to be like, hey, I loved you, Lily. You were fantastic. Like, thank you for everything you did. I would say great job as an industry. And by the way, that's all brands. Maddie, there's a different number though. When that person that buys that property in a number of years goes to buy or sell their second home, NAR also interviews them. What percentage use the same agent they previously used?
Yeah, that number is less celebratory. It's on average 11 to 17%.
Malika, we went from 9 out of 10 people saying I had a great experience, I'll use you again, to 1 or 2 out of 10 people actually using us again.
Sounds like someone didn't stay in touch.
Yeah, I think that's really sad. I just think it's really sad. I mean, I think we talked about that great experience we give our clients. Like, I know I'm no different than all of you. You're awesome at what you do. How many soccer games for my daughter did I miss? I'm an avid golfer and fisherman. And how often do I tell my buddies, like, yeah, man, I'll see you at the course at 10 tomorrow. And then a buyer calls me at 9 and they're ready to write an offer. And guess who doesn't go golfing? Like, we do make sacrifices for our clients. We're just in that industry. It's what we chose, and it happens. And we do all of this work and we help them and they have an amazing experience. And then unfortunately afterwards, we just lose touch with them. And what happens is they build new relationships. And when they go to buy or sell or invest, they'll use those new relationships. To me, that's just mind blowing, Maddie. 9 out of 10 said, I love you, I'll use you again. And 1 out of 10 consistently uses the same agent on their next purchase. So Blake has got it right. We just got to stay in touch. We don't even call it a database here at RCC. We call it a data bank because we know that we invest into our data bank. We know that we get a very substantial return. That's why I'm doing shaved ice today, is because that's investing in my data bank. These are my past clients, family and friends coming to my office, and we get to hang out. We get to remind them, hey, when you think real estate, think of me. So Francesca, how long you been in the business? Can I pick on you for a minute?
1 month.
1 month, congratulations. All right, I gotta pick on somebody else.
Yeah.
Brad,
Nobody else has their camera on, so that's challenging. By the way, guys, don't be shy. We'll have a lot more fun, although I'm having fun. But potentially can bring you more value if you have your cameras on. I promise you that. You're here, I'm here. I'd love to interact, but let's just play this out then. I'll role play with Katie again. Katie, let's say you're a seasoned agent, been in the business 5-10 years. You sold a house to me 1 year ago today, hypothetically. My wife and I moved to your city. We're buyers. You did a phenomenal job. You gave us a really cool like gift basket with some crappy wine. I'm just kidding. You gave us a great gift basket at closing. You didn't give us a hug because we're in the heat of COVID, but it was a year ago today. We closed it with fidelity. Like everything went perfect. Here's the question I want each of you agents to ask yourself. How many times in that 1 year from today, since you handed your consumer keys, have you been in communication with them? Katie, when we coach agents and we ask that question, what kind of answers do we get?
Typically, and again, our main clientele is the top 20% in production across the country, and we still see this answer typically around 2, 3, 4, 5 touches a year.
Yeah, sometimes 6, sometimes 12.
Right.
Now, RCC, we firmly recommend a minimum of 24 times a year, twice a month. It's that simple. It could be an email, it could be a snail mail, it could be a Facebook message. We could leave something on their doorstep. It could, whoa, shocker, it could be a phone call. In some capacity, twice a month, we simply want to reach out to people and just say, hey, I hope you're well. Here's what's going on in the world of real estate. And we know statistically, Tammy, if we send that out at least twice a month, our business goes up exponentially. You know, I once had somebody say to me, it's like, that's an agent in their 10th year of business acting like their first year. And I didn't really understand it. I was like, what does that mean? Explain that to me. Well, you know, like an agent goes and they work really hard and they find a client and they do a really good job and then they don't communicate with them. And then guess what? They got to go and work really hard and find another client and work really hard, do another good job. And then they don't communicate with them. That's an agent in their 10th year of business, repeating their first year over and over. And of course, they've got more market knowledge, they have more contract knowledge. But find me a mega agent, find me a consistent agent, find me an agent that has people calling them saying, hey, Craig, come and list my property. My sister is relocating, she needs to sell her home. That's an agent that is consistently in communication with their database. Malika, you're the queen of database. Anything you want to add to that?
I would definitely add that as long as you're giving them information, you really want to make sure that it's information that's useful, right? We can't just send out recipe cards or only send out just general information. Where CoreFact helps is we keep it personalized to their home. And there's no new tech to learn to figure that out. And we offer the automated option so you can stay on top of it. So if it is twice a month, they're making sure that they're being seen both of those times. And you have a way to follow up on it. If we can help you in all different aspects of that, as a real estate agent, as a broker, as a professional on the lending side, that's a matter of you being able to manage the channel at the highest level possible. And just like he's saying, that's marketing and making sure you're in front of them, but also knowing your results, knowing who responded and following up with that person.
So Malika, if we want to learn more about CoreFact, would you be able to type in the comment section who we could reach out to learn more?
Absolutely.
You're amazing. Let's give Malika a big round of applause.
Well, Craig, we also know that about 80% of follow-up is the majority of where our business comes from, right? So I think it's interesting when we talk about 9 out of 10 people want to work with us and only 10 to 20% actually do. There's that 80% gap. So if we're actually consistently staying in touch with them, then we'll get that big piece of business that's just sitting there. So that's the first piece of, it's not groundbreaking. This isn't like brand new information to you guys, but just following up and setting up that touch system to connect with your people on a consistent basis is going to fill in a huge portion of your business that you were looking for to fill this year.
Well, Katie, you nailed it. Like, here's where we dropped the ball. I went to real estate because I love people. I went to real estate because I love homes. I went to real estate because I love negotiating. I went to real estate because I love a flexible schedule. Like, these are things we hear every single day, right, Tammy? When it's like, hey, what brought you to real estate? It's some or all of those types of things. Tammy, here's what we never hear. I went into real estate because I love sitting in front of my computer and doing the same task every day for 2 hours. I went into real estate because I love data entry. Like, we don't hear that, do we? So when we're talking about database and data bank and staying in relationship with our past clients, Katie, is that the CEO's job?
No, not at all.
Is it the buyer's agent job?
No.
Is it the listing agent job?
Nope.
So it falls right here as the admin. And I'm sorry, and like, I hope Tammy invites me back, but probably not all of you, but the vast majority of the agents that we coach around the country, they are really crappy admin. Like, they're just not good at it, Tammy. They are great salespeople. They are great connectors. They're great negotiators. They're great advocates for their clients. But you know what they're not great at? They're not great at doing administrative activity day after day for a couple hours a day, adding people to the database, sending touches out, reaching out to Malika and her team and getting Courtfax set up, and then monitoring and checking those back-end analytics and reaching out to people. They're not good at that. So when I find an agent, I'm like, you have an amazingly big, inconsistent business. And 9 out of 10 times, it's because they're only doing the administrative side of the job they have to. I lived in California and I absolutely love your state. There's so many things I miss about living there, but you guys have a lot of rules. You have more rules than Oregon does. Let's just call it like it is. There are certain administrative things, Danielle, you got to do. You've got to turn in your paperwork to your brokerage. You've got to fill out disclosures. That's being the admin. You cannot do a real estate transaction without following certain rules. Is that fair? Now that's being the admin of your company. You got to do it. And often you're up late at night after a busy day doing those administrative jobs you don't want to do. Now the job you skip doing is touching your database, emailing your database, texting your database, throwing a shaved ice event and having 500 of your clients and their families and friends showing up this afternoon, coming to you and eating your ice and giving them a virtual high five. That's actually the admin's job. I didn't put together Kona Ice. There's a shirt sitting on my desk that's branded. Matt, you're wearing, no, Matt's not. Somebody in here is wearing one of them. And all I know is after this call, I got to put on a shirt that's branded to my company, walk down the steps and start high-fiving my family, friends, and past clients. There it is. I didn't do it. I didn't put this together. I casted a very clear vision. I'd love to have our clients show up. School ended on Friday. Here it is the following Thursday. It's sunny outside. Let's throw this event. I had to swipe the visa. Look, who put this all together, Katie? Was it me?
Definitely not.
Okay. So I'm only driving this point home is all of you are like, well, Craig, when are you going to be talking about getting more business? I will guarantee you by the end of this Kona Ice event, I get 2 or 3 listings and 1 or 2 buyer referrals. It is physically impossible to have 500 clients show up and not get 2 or 3 listing opportunities. I'm not saying I'll get them, or 2 or 3 buyer referrals. So I'm actually sharing with you how to get business. Yes, Katie.
Which, do the math on that. From one event, if you get 3, let's just say 3 transactions out of that, let's just go for low numbers, you get $50,000, $60,000 from that. That pays for the admin seller for the entire year and the event itself. So one event for this person to work 40 hours a week. Now the rest of the year they're paid for. And of course they're gonna do more events, more work on your database, et cetera.
So we camp on this because the reality is if you're not being the admin of your company in this quadrant, I'm going to challenge you to do it for 90 or 120 days. It's not easy to stay in that lane. And I guarantee you will make so much extra money that if you want to, you'll now have that extra money to go the right side and hire somebody. So instead of saying me, you can now go the right side and you can hire somebody to do that for you. And Katie, you've got a thought on this. Like, if you got agents been in the business 5, 6, 7, 10 years and they're not doing it, what do you think about that?
Yeah, you guys challenge yourself. If you are 3+ years experience in this and you don't have the perfect database, or you haven't been able to throw the perfect client appreciation event, honey, I've got to tell you something, you're not going to do it. I know that you have the best intentions and that you're capable of doing it. And yet, if it's been over 3 years and it's not done yet, I'm giving you the opportunity, the excuse that you can go pay a high schooler to go do those mailers for you. You can go find an agent who hasn't sold a house this year and they will work on your database for you. There are people that you can throw $200, $300, $400 at and say, hey, we work on this one isolated project for me. And that takes it off your plate and it will actually get done. So, and it may not be 100% perfect, but guess what? If it hasn't happened in 3 years and it gets done to 50, 60% of your expectation, at least it's 60% done and it got done. It got people to know that you're in real estate. It got you in front of people. So go pay your neighbor, go find a daughter or, you know, whatever, high schooler or someone who just graduated to go do these activities for you, and just start with one, right? One client appreciation event, one touch to your database, and get that going.
I think it's a two-pronged attack. You hire core fact to have the consistent touches going out, and then either you or somebody else you hire does the secondary work, which is like adding to the database, because we got to get it in there from core fact to know who's in there. We hire secondary to get these touches out, so you can throw a shaved ice at that. Or I'm so happy things are open. I love good wine. That's the other thing I love about Northern California. So we're gonna have, and we've got pretty good Pinots here in the Pacific Northwest and Oregon. So we're gonna have a VIP wine event later in the fall with some of our top clients. Like, why would I throw an event I don't enjoy doing? I like shaved ice. My kids will be here. I like wine with my VIPs. The next thing, Malika touched on this as well. How effectively are you communicating the opportunities of today's markets? How effectively are you communicating? We are in the most incredible industry in the world. Like, my most expensive sale this year went for $227,000 over asking. And you guys are like, come on, guy, we do that every day. But I'm also not in the Bay Area. I'm in Portland, Oregon. My best sale went for $227,000 over asking. My average year to date is about $50,000 over asking. And not a week goes by we don't sell something for $100 over. I was Katie and I and a couple others were coaching a team in Pleasanton. While we were there over the course of a couple of days, they sold multiple homes at $300,000 over asking. We're in the most dynamic, incredible market on the planet. How consistently and effectively are you communicating that with your family, your friends, and your past clients? These are times like we have never seen before. It is absolutely amazing. You know, this is why you turn on HGTV and there's 1,000 shows on what we do for a living. I watch them. You guys probably watch some of them. My wife watches them. Like, people want to know what's happening in this crazy market, flips and escalation clauses and trashed out homes and everything in between. Guys, we're the conduit to share that message. We're on the ground, seeing it and living it every day. So it's something I'd like you to hyper focus on, is how effectively and consistently are you communicating what's happening in this market? All right, we'll move off database in 1 second. Just one more slide. Uh-oh. That's the wrong button. Share screen.
While you're doing that, Craig, I think that is the intimidating factor that people think, well, what am I going to send? You're saying touch my database consistently. And you guys, every day, I think today you probably had something happen to you. And this touch is a great example of it, that something happened that you can share the story on. It doesn't have to be fancy. Craig's going to go over this, but it can be as simple as I wrote 7 offers today. Like, I bet you half this room probably did that this weekend, right? Like, that's a story to share. People don't understand. You guys are the vehicle for information. So we assume all of our clients, friends, and family members understand what the market is doing. And they actually don't, you guys. So we actually need to say, hey, homes are going over 200, 300,000. We are writing multiple offers. This isn't the one case. This is actually how the market is going. So Craig, explain this great touch you just did.
Yeah, you're right, Kate. They've heard about it. Like, no one lives in Northern Cal without hearing the market's bonkers, but we get to tell the real life story behind the scenes. This was a touch we sent out recently to our database. It's not fancy. This was our number. This is about a month, maybe a month and a half old. 84,100 was the amount that real estate value went up in Portland last year. By the way, I would argue, Tammy, most of that 84,100 probably happened between August and December, because our market was really flat from March through about July, first 90 days of the pandemic. So the average home in Portland went up about 85,000 in about 4 months. Pretty cool. So we sent this to our database, 84,100. The average home went up in Portland. 84,000. additional amount of money if you sold your house now, 84,100. The amount you just lost if you didn't buy last year, 84,100 is what the homeowners in Portland have gained and was probably their largest equity assets. Whatever your situation, 84K is a lot of money and a number to know if you own or have any interest in owning real estate. What would your number be? Could be even higher depending on your property. Will values continue to skyrocket? Will interest rates remain low? I don't know. We lost our crystal ball. What we do know is the current market is benefiting both buyers, low rates, and sellers, rising prices in an extreme way that cannot last forever. If you want to capitalize on this historic moment, give us a call.
I love your subject line.
Thank you. Tammy, that email, without exaggeration, gave us 7 signed listings.
Wow. I
How
believe
could
it.
it not?
It caught me.
Well, Tammy, I sent it to my family, my friends, and my past clients. And they also like the site. And by the way, your guys' subject line would probably be like 375,000. That's cool. Like,
Right.
who doesn't want to know the average property in Half Moon Bay went up 250,000 this year? Like anyone, like it's good numbers to know. So everybody's like, how do I get listings? How do I get listings? I'll give you a little trick. Have a database, communicate with them twice a month, and keep them apprised of what's going on in the market. And I guarantee you'll have more listings in the next 90 days than you've had the previous 90 days. The key with it, Tammy, as we know, as Malika knows, as Katie and Matt know, the key is just consistency.
Mhm.
A lot of us will have this burst of energy and we'll send out some marketing campaign. And then we don't do anything for 90 days. If we do this twice a month, every single month, I guarantee our business goes up. All right, let's switch gears. We're doing perfect on time, Miss Katie. So this is called Just Listed. This is our listing domination. And anyone wants a copy of the slide, I'll put it back up or we give it to Tammy. She can send it out to you with her team. This is dominating listings. Now, the key to this one, Katie, is you've got to go and get your first listing.
Okay.
Well, where did she go? I love Francesca's here. She can't leave because her mom's on. So thanks for being here. So Francesca, you're 30 days in the business. I'm gonna take a gander. You haven't listed a home yet. Go and find your first listing. Reach out to your mom, all of her friends, all the people you know. Somebody's gonna list a house with you. Now, when you get that first listing, what I'm gonna show you, Francesca, is this will get you at least one more and maybe 2 or 3 more. You ready? All right, so Katie, I'm at your house tonight. Awkward, I keep coming over. No, I'm just kidding. You invite me over. You and Derek, that's your wonderful husband. He runs a SWAT team in Eugene, Oregon. So if any of you ever get in trouble in Eugene, call Katie. She's got good connections there.
And he's sexy.
He is a big, sexy man that has a gun. That is true. All right, so I'm at your house tonight, and you and Derek signed a listing contract with me. Yay, I'm your agent.
We're excited to list our house with you.
Katie, I'm so excited to be your agent. I'm excited. Market's hot. My goal is to make you the most amount of money. I know that you know that as well. That's why you hired me. Katie, can I ask for your help in making you the most amount of money?
Yes, absolutely. What do you need?
A little help. We know that it is not uncommon the person that buys your home knows someone in the neighborhood.
Can you explain that more?
Yeah, there's probably somebody that lives a couple blocks away that wants their sister to move down the street and be close to them. In this crazy pandemic world, there might be somebody that lives in California whose kids live down the street and they want to have a second home closer to them. It is not uncommon the buyer of a home knows somebody in the neighborhood. Is that fair?
That makes sense. Yep.
Katie, let's literally just go out of script. Where do you live?
I live in Crescent Meadows,
Where's that?
in Eugene, Oregon, like a little suburb,
Where does Josh Cooley live?
2 blocks away,
Where does Stephanie live?
1 block away,
Where does Brian live?
3 blocks away.
These are like her best friends on the planet and people I know. Literally, they've created, and it's a nice neighborhood. They've created this compound where like all of them have golf carts and they ride scooters and they all live like 2, 5, 10 blocks away.
We
So-
literally just had our last best friend move go pending 2 days ago. So now like any friend that we have right now lives in our neighborhood.
So
Fun.
it is not uncommon. Now, Eugene's a little bit smaller town, right? So there's only so many nice neighborhoods, but it's not uncommon that somebody in the neighborhood has a friend or family member that moves in around them. So it's a true script. All right, so back to script, Katie. So we know that a friend or family member may live down the street, may tell somebody about it. And I want to let them know right away that your property's hitting the market. But here's what I know, Katie. I could send them out a really awesome, just listed postcard. It's going to go in the garbage.
Yeah.
But Katie, I know this. If I send something from you with your address on the top left corner from Katie and Derek and your neighborhood address, and I send it to them, I will guarantee they open up that piece of mail. Would you open up a piece of mail if it came from your neighbor?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Would you open it before your power bill?
absolutely.
Okay, here's what the inside of it's going to say. Hey, dear neighbors, it's Katie and Derek here. We've taken a job transfer to San Jose, and unfortunately, we're leaving the neighborhood. We're putting our house on the market this weekend, and it's listed at $775. And if you know of anybody interested in our home, I've included my agent's business card, Craig Rieger with ABC Realty. Reach out to him, and we appreciate your help. We've enjoyed being your neighbor, Katie and Derek. Now, Katie, if I type that out and I do all of the work, can I send that out in your name to 100 of your neighbors?
Absolutely. That sounds great.
So now I'm going to hang up with you. Hey, ring, ring, Tammy.
Hello,
Tammy, it's Craig Rieger with ABC Realty, my favorite title company. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Hey, Tammy, I just listed a house at 123 Main Street, Burlingame. Do you guys have the software, whatever? Can you find me the nearest 100 homeowners?
Absolutely.
Can you send those to me like with a little sticky label so I can just print them, put those on the envelope?
Of course, we can send it to you in all formats.
You're amazing, Tammy. How soon can I get those?
We can get it for you. 24 hour. Usually there's a 24-hour turnaround. Sometimes
That's
same day.
perfect. Perfect. I got 100 letters to write. Cool. Well, I'll look forward to getting those. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
So I've listed Katie's home. My friends at Fidelity are going to send me the nearest 100 homeowners with sticky labels. Now I got to make a letter. I got to copy it 100 times. And I got to stick it in an envelope. Do you think if I send that out to the neighborhood, I'll get some phone calls?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Love
let's
that.
make it better.
Save you time and send it for you.
Yeah, we can do that as well.
So can I ask, just like for the people that I know, Margarita Mord, thoughts on something like that?
You know what? I think it's actually really clever. It really is. I just finished doing a National Code of Ethics class at like 1:15, so I came on late. And I was hoping he wasn't going to say something that was going to go right into like fair housing kind of thing, because they just gave an example of something really similar where somebody did that and said, don't you want to pick your neighbors? And like, that's like bridging on a no here in California because we're so careful
Is
now.
this- Yes.
And so I was happy to hear him go through the whole script, and it was just coming from the seller, which was awesome. And then he's really on a backseat just saying, hey, if you know anybody, call my agent. And I thought that was cool. And then you could do a follow-up letter from the agent to or from the sellers and just say, hey, we just sold or something, and still with the card. So 2 times to follow up with that.
Margarita, I'm glad
Awesome.
to know that I'm in compliance. We are pretty damn good at what we do, and thank you for confirming that. Number
Margarita's
two,
a top producer as well, Craig.
awesome. Number two is I want to hire you because you're smart. You're right. The first letter gets attention. The second letter gets us listings. So let's fast forward, Tammy. It's been 5 days. I listed your home in Hillsborough. Odds are in 5 days, am I going to have multiple offers on that property?
Absolutely.
So Tammy, I've got great news. I've got 5 offers for you. The highest one's 175,000 over asking, Are you happy?
I'm so happy.
Heck yeah, you are.
I'm excited.
175,000 over asking, cash, 10-day closing, free rent back. You got to be happy.
Beautiful.
Tammy, I'm just so happy for you. I'm happy for your daughter, Francesca. You can give her some money as a new agent. Like, this is exciting. Tammy, can I ask for your help one more time?
Of course.
The market is so competitive. And I got to tell you, the entire Bay Area, there's nothing I enjoy more than doing business in Hillsborough. Can I get your help and do some marketing to the neighborhood?
Of course.
Okay, well, here's all it's going to say is, dear neighbors, we sold our home. We got substantially over asking. And I promised my agent, Craig Rieger, if he did a good job, I'd tell the neighborhood. If you've got any desire to buy or sell this year, I would highly encourage you to interview Craig Rieger. We've enjoyed being your neighbor. We wish you well, Tammy. Can I send that out to your neighbors? Again, I'll do all the work, but it's coming from you.
Yes.
Awesome. That second letter, Malika,
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes your phone ring, just like Margarita predicted. That's when you will get another 1 or 2 listings in that neighborhood every single time, I guarantee it. How cool is that?
I love
Now, Margarita, did I still stay in compliance there? Did I say that right?
You're doing good. You're doing good. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's super important. Like our state literally just passed yesterday. It goes into effect in 90 days in Oregon, no more love letters, which I think is a good thing. I mean, there can be quite a bit that can happen in those love letters from a steering standpoint or picking buyers. So Oregon is either the first or second state in the union to pass that. So I appreciate you being on here, top producer, giving back to the industry, and also making sure I don't screw anything up. So thank you.
No love letters here either.
All right, that's what I heard. We've got some friends in Cal that told us that. All right, is that a strategy that all of you could put into effect and get more listings for very little work?
Absolutely.
Whose job is it to stuff those envelopes?
Admin.
If you don't
Yeah,
have
here's Danny.
of course.
Whose job is it to call our amazing friends at Fidelity and get those mailing labels? Admin, right? And that's the reason a lot of us don't do it is we're just not putting ourselves in the position we need to be for a short period of time. You do that on a couple listings, you'll get a couple more listings at your price point. You make another $48,000. $80,000. You can go and hire a world-class admin if you want to. If not, you can pocket that 40 or 80, invest into something, and keep doing it yourself. We're not advocating starting a team. We're advocating running a smart business.
We had a
So
new
we-
agent who had just got licensed last year, heard this in the beginning when he got licensed, and he ended up selling 15 homes in the first year, and 10 of them came from that listing letter. So as a brand new agent coming in, this is what he did. He went and got his first couple and then did this every single time, and it just kept rolling into more listings. So 15 or 10 just from this alone for a new agent. So imagine with a lucrative big business that you guys have.
I'm gonna give you guys a couple more strategies. We'll go to some Q&A and we'll wrap up. Does that sound okay, Tammy?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, another thing we'll do with offers is we'll door knock. So I got 5 offers on Tammy's home. Tammy accepts the best, her favorite, whatever. I'll take the other offers and I'll black out everything confidential. Literally everything confidential. And then I'll just take them around the neighborhood. Now the world's opened back up. It's not weird to knock on a door as much anymore. It's getting easier. And I'll just go door knocking. It's like knock, knock. Katie answers, her dog's barking at me. It's like, hey, Katie, I'm Craig Rieger. I'm with ABC Realty. Did you see my sign down the street?
Sure did.
Yeah, I'm a realtor. That's Tammy's house. We sold it for way over asking. Anyway, these are 4 other buyers that want to live on your streets. I've had to black out everything confidential, but these are all dated last week. They literally want to live on your street. They tried to buy Tammy's home. Do you want to sell?
Well, let me see those offers.
So if I go door knocking with offers like that, will I find people that say, yes, I might want to sell?
And they want to get their
Absolutely.
hands on it. It's tangible. It starts a deep conversation.
Now, I didn't steal those buyers. Those offers came in from other agents, probably like Francesca, because she's going to have such a big career. So then I'll just simply call Francesca up. I'll be like, hey, remember when you offered on Tammy's house and you lost last week? She's like, yeah. I'm like, well, good news. I've got another listing coming up in the neighborhood. You should bring your buyers to it. Like, it's an awesome strategy. It also creates great relationships with your agent community. Does that make sense? How many of you know what a rent bow is? What's a rent bow?
Is it rent back?
Tammy doesn't know what a rent bow is. I'm just making it up, actually. I made up rent bow.
Rent back
Nope. Okay, what's a FSBO?
for sale by owner.
Yes, ma'am. And somebody wants to sell their house themselves and they're cutting out the real estate professional. So a rent bow is an investor who's cutting out the property manager and renting the property themselves. Does that make sense to everybody?
Okay.
How do you find rent bows? They're easy to find. They're on Zillow, they're on Craigslist, they're in local publications. They're all over the internet. They're putting signs in your yard. I've got a rental. Call me if you want to rent it. That's what a rent bow is. They're just cutting out the property manager. So they're not hard to find. And here's the script. Katie, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Katie, it's Craig Rieger here in Portland with ABC Realty. I saw you're renting a property over at Arbor Station. Are you the owner?
I guess I am.
Okay, have you rented it?
No, I have not.
Katie, reason I'm calling is, as you probably heard, the market's insane. Values are skyrocketing. The typical seller at Arbor Station right now is getting 5 or more offers and 30 to 50,000 over asking. If I could get you that kind of activity, would you be a seller instead of a renter?
Yeah, I hate that thing. I'd love to get rid of it.
Is it true that sometimes landlords get tired of being landlords?
Mhm.
Katie, when did you sell your rental?
Oh, like a year ago, 8 months ago.
Why did you sell it?
Because it was worth a ton of money and I hated dealing with my renter.
Okay, let's pause on those two things. Have rental properties gone up hundreds of thousands of dollars in the last year or two? Say yes.
Yes.
So calling landlords that have made hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of them will cash in their chips. Is it true that some landlords are sick of being landlords because renters aren't paying or they trash the property or? Yeah. Now let's do the script. So it's a great way to find a seller. But let's do the script again. Ring, ring. Hey, Katie, it's Craig Rieger with ABC Realty. I saw you're renting your property. Have you rent today?
Nope, have not.
Blah, 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 blah. If I could sell it for a ton of money, would you be a seller instead of a landlord?
No, I want to keep it as rental.
Oh, well, clearly you're a savvy investor. Good job.
Thank you.
By the way, who does not want to be called a savvy investor, Malika, right? So clearly you're a savvy investor. Katie, every single day I'm looking for the best deals on the market. This is what I do full time. I'm even picking up the phone bugging you. So you already are an investor, which is cool because there's a lot of wannabe investors. You're an investor. If I find another good deal, would you buy it?
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Fantastic. Well, why don't I get a little more info from you? And if I find a great deal, I'll call you. I've now just added what to my data bank?
Investor.
I've added a proven investor to my data bank. How many times a year do I touch them?
Every other week.
2 times a month.
Isn't it that easy, team? Okay, we've got a quick wrap up. As I'm prepping for that, do we have any Q&A? You guys are a quiet group, that is for sure. You're an amazing group, but you're a quiet group. Tammy, did we bring some good value to your audience?
Yeah, you brought some great gold nuggets.
All right. Malika, thanks for being amazing. Maddie G, you're great. For the rest of you, we really appreciate your time. This is our quick pitch. We do own a coaching company. We're very good at what we do. We coach in every state. We typically coach middle to mega producing agents. We do a little bit with new agents, but for the most part, we're helping people in that kind of 10 to 150, 200 million range. Our typical coach does 50 million in volume. Let me repeat that. Our average coach does 50 million in volume. They're all in production. And by the way, that's not necessarily in the Bay Area, that's in normal markets. So our coaches are big producers. Katie, anything else you want to add to who we are as a coaching company or why they might want to reach out to you?
Yeah, our phones are blowing off the hook right now because it's such a busy time. And so your first reaction might think that it's, a hard time to begin coaching. And in reality, June, July, August is when in this market, this lucrative, amazing market, we do not want to be missing more opportunities, right? We want to be grabbing our fair share. So right now is the best time to be getting a coach because we want to make sure that you are grabbing all those opportunities and utilizing your time and staying in your lane and still having balance during these crazy months. So sign up for a coach today, and that way they can help you get more business, get more balance during these 3 crazy, insane months, and build a big business at the same time.
Awesome. That's our big, heavy pitch. We help clients do more business with more consistency and more balance. So you've got Ms. Katie's email address, you've got her phone number there. Take a screenshot of it if you like. And if not, I've got some good friends in your area, mainly Juliet Colda. I was on her couch like a month ago. So do me a favor, go and do more business in her and tell her that Craig Rieger said that. And I hope you guys have a great summer. Fidelity, Malika, I appreciate you guys so much. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate it.
Everyone, we appreciate your time.
We appreciate you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.